Good Friday, also known as Holy Friday or Great Friday, is the day that commemorates the crucifixion and death of Jesus Christ. According to Christian tradition, several significant events took place on Good Friday. 1. Trials of Jesus. After his arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane on Thursday night, Jesus underwent multiple trials. He was first brought before the Jewish religious authorities, including the high priest Caiaphas and the Sanhedrin, where false witnesses testified against him. He was then taken to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of Judea, who found no basis for charging Jesus but, under pressure from the crowd, handed him over to be crucified. Jesus was then sent to King Herod Antipas, who mocked him and sent him back to Pilate. The previous text outlines what occurred. Stay tuned for the reading and images of those same events. Matthew 26:57-27:2 NIV. Jesus before the Sanhedrin. 57 Those who had arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had assembled. 58 But Peter followed him at a distance, right up to the courtyard of the high priest. He entered and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. 59 The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false evidence against Jesus so that they could put him to death. 60 But they did not find any, though many false witnesses came forward. Finally 2 came forward 61 and declared, "This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." 62 Then the high priest stood up and said to Jesus, "Are you not going to answer? What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you?" 63 But Jesus remained silent. The high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." 64 You have said so, Jesus replied. "But I say to all of you, from now on you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." 65 Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we need any more witnesses? Look, now you have heard the blasphemy." 66 What do you think? "He is worthy of death," they answered. 67 Then they spit in his face and struck him with their fists. Others slapped him. 68 And said, "Prophesy to us, Messiah. Who hit you?" 69 Now Peter was sitting out in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him. "You also were with Jesus of Galilee," she said. 70 But he denied it before them all. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. 71 Then he went out to the gateway, where another servant girl saw him, and said to the people there, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." 72 He denied it again, with an oath, "I don't know the man." 73 After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." 74 Then he began to call down curses, and he swore to them, "I don't know the man." Immediately a rooster crowed. 75 Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken, "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. 2. Scourging and Mockery. Before the crucifixion, Jesus was scourged, a brutal form of punishment involving whipping or beating. He was also subjected to mockery and humiliation by the Roman soldiers. Matthew 27 verses 26-31. New International Version. 26 Then he released Barabbas to them. But he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. The soldiers mocked Jesus. 27 Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. 28 They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. 29 And then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. 30 They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. 31 After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. 3. The way of the cross, Via Dolorosa. Jesus carried his cross along the Via Dolorosa, the traditional route in Jerusalem believed to be the path he walked on his way to Golgotha, Calvary, the site of his crucifixion. 4. Crucifixion. Jesus was nailed to the cross and crucified at Golgotha, alongside 2 criminals. He endured great suffering and agony on the cross, and during this time, he uttered several famous statements, including, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," and my God, why have you forsaken me?" The king on a cross. 32 Now as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. 33 And when they had come to a place called Golgotha, that is to say, place of a skull, 34 They gave him sour wine mingled with gall to drink. But when he had tasted it, he would not drink. 35 Then they crucified him, and divided his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. 36 Sitting down, they kept watch over him there. 37 And they put up over his head the accusation written against him, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 38 Then 2 robbers were crucified with him, one on the right and another on the left. 39 And those who passed by blasphemed him, wagging their heads 40 and saying, "You who destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." 41 Likewise the chief priests also, mocking with the scribes and elders, said, 42 He saved others. Himself he cannot save. If he is the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. 43 He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now if he will have him. For he said, "I am the Son of God." 44 Even the robbers who were crucified with him reviled him with the same thing. 5 Death. Jesus died on the cross in the afternoon, around 3 p.m. According to the Gospels, there were several supernatural events that occurred at the moment of his death, including darkness covering the land and the temple veil being torn in two. Jesus dies on the cross. 45 Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour there was darkness over all the land. 46 And about the 9th hour Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani?" That is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" 47 Some of those who stood there, when they heard that, said, "This man is calling for Elijah." 48 Immediately one of them ran and took a sponge, filled it with sour wine, and put it on a reed, and offered it to him to drink. 49 The rest said, "Let him alone. Let us see if Elijah will come to save him." 50 And Jesus cried out again with a loud voice, and yielded up his spirit. 51 Then, behold, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth quaked, and the rocks were split. 52 And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. 53 And coming out of the graves after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. 54 So when the centurion and those with him, who were guarding Jesus, saw the earthquake and the things that had happened, they feared greatly, saying, "Truly this was the Son of God." 55 And many women who followed Jesus from Galilee, ministering to him, were there looking on from afar, 56 among whom were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joses, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. 6. Burial. Matthew 27 verses 57 to 66. Burial. After his death, Jesus' body was taken down from the cross by Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy disciple, and placed in a tomb. The tomb was sealed with a large stone, and guards were posted to prevent tampering. Matthew 27 verses 57 to 66. New King James Version. Jesus buried in Joseph's tomb. 57 Now when evening had come, there came a rich man from Arimathea, named Joseph, who himself had also become a disciple of Jesus. 58 This man went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded the body to be given to him. 59 When Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth. 60 And laid it in his new tomb which he had hewn out of the rock, and he rolled a large stone against the door of the tomb, and departed. 61 And Mary Magdalene was there, and the other Mary, sitting opposite the tomb. Good Friday is observed by Christians worldwide in remembrance of the sacrifice of Jesus Christ for the redemption of humanity, as it marks the culmination of Jesus' earthly mission and the beginning of the salvation of humanity.